welcome to the after party number 2.
Duo.
Sardos.
Yeah, welcome to after party Sardos. Last time I think we dubstepped into it, but
yeah, we can skip that probably this time.
Okay.
I was gonna suggest
That's
that, but
fine.
I'll have to cut that on Elena's mic there. So today we'll kind of be talking session 4, 5, and 6.
Says.
Yeah.
Right. And I think these 3 I liked better than the first 3.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think I'm biased, but because now I can finally talk about some like behind the scenes stuff that doesn't spoil things for you or the listener now. And I'm kind of excited.
Okay, so it picks up right after Sardos has been brutally murdered in the street, right?
A little
and then
after.
we go back to the tavern, and we invite our good friend Chucky to sit in and listen to our conversation about talking about murdering.
Because nobody had any suspicions about who Chucky's alter ego could be.
And in my defense, he is a humpback, right?
No body shaming.
No, it's an observation.
But Gozer does know best, man. She's got really good instincts.
Yeah.
It's kinda...
Don't you forget it.
I like to think that it's pretty obvious. Like I'm pretty sure all the listeners out there are probably like, man, it's Chucky.
Chucky's like, huh? That's what killed him, eh? He even threw in the Canadian A. He's like, eh. And Shaft's like, yeah, let me pocket this. And let me
Chucky didn't come over and go, how can I get you a drink?
Yeah, that's true.
Citizen.
Yeah.
But no, I was listening back and I'm like, you know what? I wasn't really planning on it to be like this big mystery thing, but I suppose it kind of turned into that unintentionally. Because
we let him go?
Well, kind of. Had I wanted it to be more of an investigation, I guess, I should have thrown in like more NPCs that were interacting a lot more with you. You know, like Chucky was kind of really the only person you interacted with at all, really.
If
Dr. Good,
if that was you trying to make it obvious, I'd hate to see what...
Dr. Good still has something shady going on.
Because I had no clue. Yeah, I agree with you.
You throw it out there, Leah, and we'll make it a mystery.
I agree that something's going on with Dr. Good.
Leave it to us.
I don't know what, but...
She's just pining for a little bit of Shaft. That's what she's on.
Apart from that, obviously.
No, that's not what's going on.
I can't believe anything else could be going on.
But yeah, it was a lot more obvious listening back, but I had no clue.
It was really funny that like I ended up accidentally saying I killed him in front of Chucky at the table.
Yeah,
and, like,
that's hilarious.
The best.
And I was like, no, he wasn't there. I didn't. And then you guys are like, yeah, he was.
He already knew. He had an arrow sticking out of him from episode 1.
That's cool, but I didn't know that.
He did, yes. At that point, he was basically like confirming his suspicions. But he was pretty set. I mean, shit, you confessed to the undercover police officer, so.
Yeah, what are the odds that happens? That was too funny.
I mean, that's what we're saying. The odds were pretty good. There was only one NPC we were interacting with. There was an old elf at the bar. There was like a few bets about me hitting him or whatever.
Could have been Jalela. Jalela could have been the Arcanist. I kind of assumed that we hadn't run into whoever the Arcanist, is when he's in his street clothes. That was what I was thinking all the time. Like, when are we going to run into this person, who's masquerading around? Like, where are we going to find him? But no, it was Chucky the whole time.
You know what just kind of occurred to me is possibly, for the listener listening back, like they could, like Braun, who did not get hurt.
Yeah.
Could have been an unintentional, like, red herring-ish, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. If, like, any of those 3 people with interactions, like, had become maybe suspects of who could be the Arcanist, maybe.
We're building your mystery for you by accidents.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that one was on me, him not getting injured.
Then why'd you see the doctor?
Yeah, that was just...
good.
Oh, that's so funny.
Because Dr. Good's shady. That's why. I'm telling you.
Yeah, man.
You don't know that.
She's the town's drug dealer or
She
something.
likes Shaft, so
Leland's
she's
like-
shady.
Liam's like, oh man, I gotta think up more backstory for Dr. Good since I think she's shady.
Well, she's also into Falsey.
This is
Briefly.
true, yeah. I'm aware of that now thanks to listening back.
Speaking of
Yeah.
Falsey,
Falzarin's still in the dark though. Like Bill is aware of this, but Falzarin is still completely oblivious to the fact that he was hit on for, however long that lasted.
remember the time that you used a bunch of magical items and you didn't know what they were?
And they blew up on you.
Yes.
All right, so Bill, I know you have some gripes. So let's start with the
Well,
gripes.
I think gripes would be putting it lightly, Leland. You give me these sweet magical items.
These sweet
And then
bucklers.
take them
That
away.
he's been wanting the entire time.
Yeah.
I didn't give you a goddamn thing. You stole those sweet items.
Well,
I mean, you stole them from a thief, but
Let's
you
call
still
them what they
stole
are.
them.
He stole the bucklers.
Yes, the
Let's
bucklers.
call them what they are.
not to be confused with gauntlets. I'm still saying that into like episode 6, I think. But
Yeah, just like literally.
So what's the gripe?
well, okay. So at the time, I had no clue why these items were malfunctioning and blowing up on me. And I guess, did you ever tell me that there were charges on? Because I know I cast Identify on the amulet, like the diamond.
Yes, so I did. When you did that, I should have told you that the amulet had one charge left on it. I should have
Okay.
said that. And I also went in and edited in a little extra line in the description for.
I wasn't
when
going to
you-
call you out on that.
when you had
but-
identified it. No, that's fine because you had me go in and edit you in changing a word that you fucked up. So
I
What the
don't
hell
know
is
what
this?
you're-
I didn't know we could add shit. That
I
came
don't know
in
what you're talking
afterwards.
about.
as far as I'm concerned, Bill, you and I are even. So.
I got all
the
kinds
word
of
again?
Shaft one-liners we can put back in now.
No one will ever know what the word was, and
I
we'll leave
feel
it that
like
way.
you told me what it was, and I can't remember.
I used it completely. A word
Started
that
with an
sounds similar
I.
to the word that I meant to use, but is not at all the right word.
It starts with an
Context.
I.
Let's just move on.
I
We were
can't.
talking about the magical items.
So okay, so these Arcanus items, obviously, like I homebrewed them up, right? And they
Sure.
have a bit of a history that you guys haven't even completely uncovered yet, which your characters and even you as players are still unaware of. So yes, when you identified, I should have told you it had one charge left. So that was my bad. And also, had I told you, like, part of the identify, like you kind of understand the spells used to like imbue the magic within them, kind of thing.
Right.
And the little part I added, which I didn't tell you, of course, so it had no impact on your choices to use them, was that they seemed as if like the process was like tainted or kind of like impure, almost, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I forget exactly what the wording was, but like sort of gave a hint that they're a little unstable or something like
right.
that. So yeah, we haven't really talked about this, and I think I think it'd be beneficial for me and for listeners to kind of understand why they blew up, because I had no clue what was going on at the time, and I'm assuming it's because they ran out of charges. Is that right?
Yes, that's
Okay.
right. So you tried to use them when they had no charges left to expend. And so what I was doing, you were rolling a percentile die. If you got above 50%, they just malfunction with
They
no
would just
penalty.
fizzle
Below
and nothing
50,
happened.
and
Yeah.
they exploded.
Okay.
So yes, I should have told you the charges. And I mean, that could have changed how you were using that.
Well-
So that's kind of my bad. But I think it made for good radio.
Oh yeah, for sure. And in all fairness, all I would have known is the number of charges on the amulet. I never bothered
Right.
to identify the
The gauntlet.
bucklers,
Yes,
gauntlets.
the quote unquote. That actually brought me to, I hope the only mistake that I noticed. So we actually tallied up your damage that you inflicted on yourself incorrectly. You had been left with 1 hit point. So you took, instead of when you're, I think it was the left one the right one
Yeah,
that blew up.
the
or
left
whatever
one
it
blew
was.
up.
Left one that blew
Yeah.
up. When that one blew up, you took 5 fire damage, but then we got into a conversation and got distracted, and then it ended up only being 4. And then when the amulet blew up, you took 9 radiant damage.
Oh, you were
So
down.
that left you at 1 hit point. So you actually should have been unconscious at the beginning of session 6.
Oof.
And like you should have blew yourself unconscious in session 5. But I noticed that recording back.
Can you
Or listening
imagine
back.
if you guys hadn't have had the big beefy magical Falzarin to defeat?
Well, again,
Yeah, we would've
you
been
were the
fine.
one with the magic that could beat the gargoyles, but you weren't helping us.
We would have been fine. No problems.
I don't know.
I love Leland's comment at the end. The one person who could do the most damage.
Yeah.
Well, I just love that. And honestly, when I created those magic items and their effects, like, I didn't create them in conjunction with you guys fighting a gargoyle that happens to be immune to poison, which is actually the type of damage that your one working gauntlet.
And
did.
actually,
Just pretend you did.
interestingly, like that was what was going through my head, was thinking that, okay, well, Leland's thrown this gargoyle at us, and the rest of my party's not able to do much against it as far as damage goes. And Leland has given me these magical items, so the magical items must be what are going to kill this gargoyle. So I was bent and determined to use these magical items, but now in hindsight, that wasn't really the case. But that was what I was thinking.
No, I think that totally played into your character. I mean, I think Falzarin would for sure want to be playing around with those things.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And sure, you had had a chance to identify the amulet, but in the heat of the battle, I mean, you even contemplated identifying the gauntlets, but like you were under attack. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
so I think the choices you made completely went in line with your character and the situation. You just had a little bit of iffy information.
We won't point any fingers.
But I would like to ask you one question. So I think it took you at least you got one malfunction shot off with the left gauntlet or whatever, the right gauntlet. And it sparked and it did nothing. But you continued to use it.
Yeah, so
You did not cease using both of them. You could have just used the one that had already spat something out and worked.
Here's the thing,
But
here's
no,
the thing.
you continued to use the sparking, like evidently malfunctioning gauntlet.
That's the persistence of Falzarin. And I think that's a good character flaw that you're going to continue to do it
Yeah.
until it works right. In every circumstance moving forward. That is
Charges
what
or
you
no
do.
charges. That's highlights the fact that I had no idea what was going on, and I
Right,
thought
yeah.
that it was all dependent on me rolling these percentile die. I'm like, why am I rolling these percentile die? Okay, I guess I just need to roll a high enough percentile,
Okay,
and these gauntlets will work.
Okay, that makes
he's
sense
a
now
gambler.
to me.
Yes.
We're so brand new to all this, like you
Yes,
can
I
tell.
know. So that's another thing that I screwed up is I took for granted like the innate knowledge in general of magical items and the way they function that John, Emily, and I would have. Whereas so normally if you use an item that is out of charges, like it just doesn't function. There isn't normally it's not going to explode because you try to use a magic wand that's out of
Right.
your magic missile charges,
Okay.
right? It's just inert. It's just useless until it recharges or it's complete, right? So I took that information that, of course, I have, and that maybe a more seasoned player would have for granted, and didn't properly express that to both you and Elena, Bill. But so again, that one was kind of on me, but
But it made for great audio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it was kind of, it was kind of interesting what you did with it because, I think what you were going with is these aren't your average everyday magical items. They've been made by some sort of weird and, maybe somewhat nefarious, who we don't know how they were made as of yet.
right.
Yeah, that's why I thought they exploded, because they weren't really constructed well.
Right. Yeah, there's something, a bit non-traditional and not by the book in their history. So,
And also, there was a kind of an offhanded remark that Chucky made of how all he did was put them on and they just started doing stuff. How easy they were to use.
yes, I noticed that.
That's also something that kind of gleans into their overall utility and possibly some of the reasons and why in which they were created in the first place, kind of thing.
Oh.
So keep that in mind for a little future down the road. Maybe.
Oh.
Yeah, a little bit.
They were made for dummies, gauntlets for dummies.
They are gauntlets for dummies, bucklers for dummies. Step 1, identifying if you actually have a buckler.
The title of the book says Gauntlets for Dummies, and it's crossed out and says bucklers.
Yes.
Yeah, that was almost like 2 full sessions of that gargoyle fight, wasn't it? That was at least like a full session.
He
of fighting
started
that
saying
fucking
he
statue.
started saying gauntlets in episode 6 at some point. And I was listening back today, and I was like, "Hey, honey, you said gauntlets. Good job."
Pat on the back. Yeah, I was afraid for my life with that gargoyle. I was like, okay, I've got these magical items. They're the only thing that can beat him, and one just blew up. And now the other one's malfunctioning.
I'm not sure
we're
the
totally
gargoyle
screwed.
hit you, actually. And
No,
I think
it
you took a
didn't.
lot of damage.
Gargoyle didn't do a damn thing
He
to
took
Volvo.
his
own
It was
hit.
strictly Falzarin self-harming.
That's right.
I just remember when I missed, I blamed it on the fact that I was shooting through brush, and I was like, "Leland, can I shoot through brush?" And he's like, "Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah,
Critically
right.
fail again.
I know."
Hey, wait, I
it's-
didn't
it's
screw
not
that
gonna
one
be
up,
the-
though.
Critical fail, that's not going to be the last you see of that from Bryn, that's for sure. There's an episode coming up, I don't remember. Anyway, we can't say anyway.
A ways down the road, but
But I
that was
literally
a brutal episode.
succeed at nothing.
For everybody, that one was brutal. Well, and actually, that 50% explode or not explode, that was also kind of an on-the-fly decision that I made as you were kind of basically using them. So
Right.
that's also why it wasn't quite as fleshed out as it should have been, or played into. You know, this is the problem with recording, right? This just highlights all of the shit that I don't properly plan, and then in hindsight have to go in post-production stuff so I look smarter.
You must do a lot of post-production stuff.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that got silent suddenly.
Yeah.
Cut that out.
I was trying to think of a zinger about Falzarin getting a word changed, and I mean, none of us are getting words changed. It's not fair.
Well, in my defense,
Can I get a roll change?
Falzarin is very learned. He's a book reader.
Learned.
He's studied for decades. He would not use the wrong word.
How old is Falzarin?
The only reason I cared so much about Leland making sure that the right word was spliced in with a 3-second clip of audio that I sent him
Flawlessly.
was because I didn't want the listeners to be offended that, hey, you know, I'm being sold that there's this guy who's studied up and lived in libraries for decades and he's using the wrong word. Listeners would be offended.
Nothing to do with Bill's pride at all.
No. And I would be offended if any of you would suggest that.
I've been offended multiple times, and you've been using the right words.
Yeah, the splice in was good though. I didn't hear it or notice it at
It
all.
was impressive, actually.
So-
I wish I could take credit for it, but
Note
that's
to
all
self.
Leland.
Bryn doesn't care if she messes up though.
So I have to say that so far I think Chucky is my favorite NPC. I just really like Chucky.
Chucky's amazing. Yeah, I agree.
But Chucky was actually, I conceptualize more of like a Mysterio character. If you're familiar with the Spider-Man villain, like a fake, like a hack, right? Like all of these magic trick, it's all like parlor tricks, and it's just like, you know, visuals, but with no real substance and no actual effect or anything. So that's kind of originally what I wanted the Arcanist to be. Was like someone that was like setting things up so he could look like a hero, which is Mysterio, right? So like originally I had him like in cahoots with whomever or whatever was making his armor set, and he was originally supposed to be like Bryn in that cave. You saw that pile of bodies, right? Clearly the source of where that flesh golem that you fought in session 1 was created, right? So originally I was going to have Chucky abducting people from the Good Riddance Inn and supplying whoever's cave that is with like bodies and parts.
Ooh, that's
So
dark.
We haven't went into the cave yet, right?
Bryn did,
I
yeah,
have.
and she reported to you that there's a pile of
I
bodies.
reported that I saw
Yeah.
a pile of body parts.
If John actually did his homework and listened back to all the
I-
sessions in which
I
we were
actually
talking
did.
about, like,
I did, but I think you're
Forgot
skirting
already?
right on the edge of episode 7.
no,
so what you're saying is he
did
created
report
the
to you.
monster
Okay.
to defeat it himself, and then therefore look like a hero.
that's kind of originally what I wanted, but
or like, yeah, I got.
yeah, so that was, and then it didn't actually fit into the overall plot that I am currently going with. So I kind of scratched that and just had him like, actually wanting to be like a do-gooder, which you guys promptly squashed with your under the boot of your or the heel of your boots. So
I like Chucky, and I hate to take him in manacles to his next phase, but hey, he's worth some cash to me. So friendship only goes so far.
The powers that be there were on to Chucky fairly quickly because he was only working in Zexa for a week or something before
A couple
we were
weeks,
sent out.
I think.
Yeah, I mean, like carrier pigeon. How quickly can news travel here in this land of Aspara, Leland? What's going on? Is there a inside person in Zexa that we don't know about?
maybe, I don't know. Can neither confirm nor deny.
Maybe
now.
Leland doesn't know.
Yeah. Now he needs to make one. I like this.
Well, and I do hope that is something in the back of both. Well, at this point, possibly the whole party's mind, but specifically Bryn and Shaft. Like, you're getting these jobs that you usually don't ask questions about, but now you're kind of seeing kind of more of this spiderweb things that seemingly possibly could be connected, or some reasons that seem more suspect than they possibly normally could, maybe, kind of thing.
Okay.
I also, one last thing I want to say about continuity. I know last after party, I think I was scared of having continuity errors. Somehow we've held up so far. But one thing I really would love to just to note to you guys, continuity wise, when you were first fighting the Arcanist, Shaft manacled him, and he manacled the gauntlet. Literally completely by happenstance, Shaft. You manacled the gauntlet that blew up and was out of charges, so the Arcanist did not get a chance to use it himself to possibly blow up himself.
And that was all part of your master plan, Leland.
All part of the plan, baby. All part of the plan.
I kind of like the idea that we can create dots and connect them after the fact.
What are you saying?
I'm just saying.
Leland would not do that.
Sounds fun. I'm game.
It's really interesting to look back, and like I've enjoyed listening back to the episodes and noticing things that I totally did not notice in the heat of the moment.
I'm definitely noticing how good Emily and John are at acting like, thinking like and acting like their characters.
Yes.
It's been years in the making.
Yeah.
It's
think
really...
we're getting there, but it'll be what, like episode 20 by the time we're getting there.
I'm sure it you get better with practice, obviously, like anything else, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's really hard to not metagame and to really separate yourself from what your character knows and not allow your character to know that information. And
that actually leads into something that I took some notes here when I was listening back and wanted to briefly chat about is metagaming. And, this is the majority of my experience with D&D is our podcast. And I've listened to a handful of episodes from other podcasts that are, I think, not really. I haven't listened to any of the big ones. But there was a couple occasions in episode 4, 5, 6 where, one person sees or hears something and then, other members of the party kind of act on that knowledge or were tempted to act on that knowledge but really shouldn't because they didn't see or hear that. And I wanted to ask you guys, how's that usually dealt with, or is it a pretty hard and fast thing that that DMs will rein that in and say no, that's not okay, or some people kind of more okay with it and they kind of play a little bit more loosey-goosey? How's that usually go in D&D in your guys' experience?
I think a lot of different groups. I mean, I've only played with a few. Our group doesn't role play.
We metagame like crazy.
Yeah, and it annoys me really because I want to play the character and be in that character's state of mind, and if you don't know those things, you're going to act differently.
We've been getting better though. We're trying.
Right. But we typically call each other out on it. Well, you don't know that, and that kind of thing. But it's sort of like being a lawyer, and the lawyer comes up and says, something, and then they go, strike that. It's not to be admissible in court. But everybody already knows it, so no matter how, you can't undo it.
That's a really good analogy, actually.
We have a bigger group too, so it's a lot more people that are talking and having opinions, and so when we try to decide what we're going to do, it's a lot less the character saying, this is what I'm going to do, and a lot more of 3 of us saying, maybe we should do this, and then the other one saying, maybe we should do this. And yeah.
This is the group that you guys usually play with?
Yeah.
But I typically try to look at it as, what did Shaft hear and what did Shaft see, right? And if I see Elena shoot an arrow into the guy, I'm thinking that she's trying to kill him, even though I know as a player that that's not what's happening. And that's why I took off and went at her in episode 1.
Right.
And you just got to keep that in mind. What am I perceiving as going on? And when somebody says something, gives additional information, I just try to ignore it.
Well, I know for one, like, one of the episodes I listened to today, Bill starts saying, what does Brynn see? What does she observe? And I was like, how are you asking this for me?
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's hard.
It's hard not to do.
Yeah, I think that was right at the beginning of, session 5 or whatever? And you
were
were in the cave. You were in the cave by yourself.
It was something with the orc and the horse, I thought, but maybe not. Maybe it's the cave.
Yeah, I remember something.
Oh yeah, there was a bit of kerfuffle. But I think to Bill's larger point, like in those episodes specifically,
we're just learning.
Sure, but in those episodes specifically, it was more like all the perception checks that you guys were making on that gargoyle, right? So to figure out like what was damaging and what wasn't, like that's kind of what you're referencing.
It came up there,
right now, right, Bill?
It came up. I think what Elena's saying or remembering is, Gozer went up and saw the dead orc being dragged by the horse.
Yeah.
And noticed the tattoo. And then
with that tattoo?
Brynn wanted to wake me up and have me go investigate the tattoo because Gozer was scared of the tattoo.
But actually, if you listen back, Brynn had also went up to that body.
I'd seen that.
So,
right.
So yeah, she hadn't specifically rolled her own perception check, but that's where I was going with like, as you're perceiving the gargoyle stuff, like you could potentially just be like, okay, when one character rolls a perception check, unless they specifically state that they want to keep something to themselves, it could possibly, you could play as if it's assumed that they are informing the rest of the party of what they see, kind of thing, right?
I see.
Which Emily did a good job. Emily was like,
oh yeah,
it's resistant to normal damage.
Shit.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I think we've been kind of playing, or at least I've been, because lack of knowing how to do otherwise, or assuming that that's the way I'm supposed to play, that when one person does a perception check and they learn some information, it's then falls on them to share it with the rest of the group. And I think that I kind of like that we're doing that, because we've got a bit of a party where, certain ones of us, you can tell, kind of have their own agendas.
Like you might not want to share something with the rest of the group.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
This is an age-old problem, even playing around a table and not doing a podcast. The DM wants to speak into somebody's mind, right? You pass a note or you send a text, and anytime anybody sees that, they know something's going on. That's a difficult thing. But with a podcast, you got to be able to let the audience know what Falzarin is thinking.
Yeah.
And the rest of us have to be good enough to go, we don't
have to
know
hear
what he's thinking.
Exactly.
And that's part of, developing the ability to role play and realize that, okay, I heard what Gozer or Shaft saw or was told by the DM, but I'm going to pretend I don't know about it.
Right. I'd say I probably go to the extreme in the other way to avoid seeming like I know it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'll almost go out of my way
to
do the opposite.
Contrarian and just like, do the exact
opposite. Right.
Yeah.
Just so it doesn't seem like I'm cheating, essentially.
Right. Well, I mean, there's a few sessions in the future where like Gozer gets a kind of a key bit of information, but like Gozer doesn't talk to anybody. So she just totally keeps that to herself. I'm like, oh fuck. Of course, Gozer was the one that ended up with it. It's like, god damn it.
If you wanted to give us a timestamp to where that key information is, what would it be, Leland?
Yeah.
Just
yeah,
no reason
that one's kind of way far in the future.
Particular.
But speaking of that half orc, I really had no idea what you guys were gonna do with it.
Yeah. Me either.
Like Gozer, what was going through like Gozer's mind? I mean, clearly she was like alarmed at it.
Well, yeah, because this tribe that's not supposed to exist, is supposed to be obliterated, essentially, is all of a sudden here again with this strange marking on his forehead, which strange markings are never good. So
Like tattoo or whatever.
yeah, and it was dead. So something killed a half orc, first off, and then second off, it has this strange tattoo on his forehead that's just a whole bunch of not good. And Gozer just wanted to get away from that. Tactical retreat.
Is that something that Gozer knew, that the Gorlock tribe didn't exist or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
this
so,
is another thing to talk about, like history. Like I would think Shaft, being where he came from, and Gozer would have more information about orc tribes and a background history of orc tribes. But Falzarin probably doesn't know anything about the orc tribes.
Yeah.
Never been there at all. So it would be almost a foreign type of thing to him.
I actually asked Leland this. It must have been, maybe we were just texting back and forth or something, but because I listened to the part of the world lore that goes over that sort of stuff, but I, like the rest of us, we didn't listen to each of our character backstories, but I had asked Leland, how much do I know about all these different orc tribes? And I think he said something to the same to what you're saying, is that Falzarin is aware that there's some orcs, but he's not going to know anywhere near as much as Shaft and Gozer about the different tribes and which ones are in decline or
control, or sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
As far as Falzarin and Bryn, really, I mean, you and the greater world of Aspara, like, outside of basically Drukal, which exists at the bottom of the bottom of the Vorgrag Mountains. Like, yeah, you're all aware that like these mountains are inhabited by tribes of orcs, but one, the orcs don't get any further than Drukal, so the rest of it's pretty rare to see them in the rest of Aspara, kind of. So yeah, why would you have any information of the like 3-generation constant war that has been going on in the mountains? Who's what the even tribe names are? I mean, some of the tribes in those mountains have been like obliterated for longer than either Falzarin or Bryn or any of you have even been alive. So
I would imagine most of the world, an orc is an orc is an orc. They wouldn't be able to tell the difference between any of them.
Totally. And of course, Gozer is privy to all of those because that's part of that. It's this oral tradition handed down. So the rest of the individual tribes, like, they know why they're fighting. They don't know what they're fighting. They like it's an ever waging conflict of this border skirmishes and ground grabbing kind of thing. Like area control stuff.
Yeah.
But though, I mean, again, I like Falzer and I let you do the check on the symbol. I mean, just because something weird is on an orc doesn't mean that something weird isn't something you might know.
Sure, yeah.
A dot that he'll create and then connect.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all basically from different places, like Heraklion, which I just pronounced incorrectly, and also Shaft will always pronounce incorrectly. We really know nothing about it except it's a magical place out on an island somewhere, right? So any information we're going to get about that is going to be either stories we were told or things you tell us.
Right.
So I think that being in the storyline, you letting us know more about your character and us letting each other know about each other is a natural thing that should happen when we have those downtimes. That's when we should have those conversations.
Well, I mean, even just geographically, like Falzarin is literally on the other side of Aspara. I think we've had this conversation before. And Bryn, I mean, your life was confined to the Phalaren forest, and Gozer's was confined to the mountains, and Shaft only has some this greater working knowledge of Aspara just because of his day job. Like, basically, right? Like,
yeah.
I think I only really started taking jobs. Like, my first big job was Sardo. So
yeah,
pretty new to all that.
Yeah, I haven't seen you around town.
Yeah.
Well,
I think at a certain point
you didn't know my name, so
Yeah. Well, at a certain point in this episode, I think we both kind of figured out that Detmer's the connection. Maybe, we don't know.
Well,
Could
okay,
be.
that's something funny because like at one point Shaft is like literally just uses Detmer by
Just
name.
says
Right,
Detmer.
talking all
Yeah.
about Detmer.
Yeah, and you know, although it easily came off as, you know, it's just Shaft being Shaft and like bluffing
It slipped
with the name
and
that
Bryn
he
heard
knows.
it. That's for sure. Yeah.
Sure. So like listening to it, you think, oh, okay, well, Shaft is just like using this name that he knows and just applying it to this situation, not fully realizing the gravity of name dropping, right?
But I think there was a point where I was like, I think we might have the same connection, and it was because he had let it slip. So
Exactly. I got to
So
figure
that
out
was
who you
something
were.
that I actually role played for once.
Now, what was Detmer always the name of this connection, or did Shaft just come up with it on the spot and then everyone
No,
had
dude,
to go
I
along
came
with
up
it?
with the name of this when we did backstories.
Okay, I wasn't sure about that.
Anything that has a good name, I came up with. The listener should realize that.
Okay,
The after party. Let's keep going. What else we got?
shall I pat you on the back now or later?
I mean, now it's fine.
Yeah, so I wasn't completely sure who hired you to assassinate poor Sardos,
Sardo.
but I wanted to
Sardos.
find out.
Shaft's gonna just keep saying Sardos. It is.
That's right, both of them. So
Yeah,
yeah,
but I
that's
forget
exactly
how
right.
it happened, but it definitely happened where you let Detmer's name slip, and anyway, I think the listener could put that together. Unless I just spoiled all this and that it can be cut out of this party.
No.
Leland
believe
doesn't
me,
cut
you,
things out.
you guys like dance around it, dance on top of it, sat on its lap, you know,
Same as
hoisted
Chucky,
it up in
right?
its own chair. Yeah, he's just,
We sat on Chucky's lap.
I think the listeners are fully aware that you guys share this person in common.
I kind of thought the Arcanist might have been Sardo, like Sardo
I
the
did too.
magician. So
Yeah.
So I think at this point, one of the interesting things is we're all still actually together. If you think about going through the first 6 episodes, you know, why are these people still hanging with each other?
Well, because we have a podcast.
I think it's believable.
Okay. Well, there's no point in talking about that
we
anymore.
have T-shirts
I mean-
now too. Like we can't just.
the
I don't know
whole-
why I didn't see that, Bill. You're...
Sorry, I just ruined
What
that
else-
like
what else are we doing
intellectual
that I'm not aware
conversation
of?
you were starting.
I think Bryn's interest is peaked about Detmer and you being like a bounty hunter for him and your connections in Drew Call. And I think Falzarin is like so obsessed with magical items that the second Chucky promised them a cave with more such items, he was like, I'm in.
Yeah.
So I mean, and I was kind of there for the treasure as well. So I mean,
We have not explored anything about why Falzarin is where he is. And
no, not at all.
No.
But we don't care.
So if we just pick this guy up, right, who's just standing around in the alley.
He's worthless.
He's like the puppy that we can't send away. We're just letting him follow us. Pat him on the back every now and then.
Yeah, I think Falzarin, like what's driving him is he wants to know as much as he can about magic in general, and he's spent quite a few years in Heraklion and kind of feels like he's exhausted as much as he's going to learn there. Things are, a bit stagnant. They're, caught in their traditions there, not interested in anything new and exciting and new breakthroughs or whatever. And so, he wants to chase down these rumors of maybe some new magic, that's cropping up here and there across the land. And
there's rumors.
Well, I mean, there are these magical towers or we don't know
right.
what's going on with them yet, but something maybe magical. These blue towers that you can see at night, and then rumors, of some magical stuff going on in Zexa, which turns out to be the Arcanist. And I'm not exactly a tough guy who's great at keeping himself alive, so if I'm able to latch
those are
on,
things you're pretty much worthless right now.
Exactly. If I'm able to latch on to a party and you guys have semi-similar goals as me for the time being, then perfect. I think that's Falzarin.
You're just in a group of other people that are driven by money, and you're the only one that's not.
Yeah, but I mean, your underpinning drive, it happens to be money at the time or currently, but we're kind of still heading towards a path that leads to me finding out more about what this magical stuff that's going on. So,
And Gozer's not really driven by money either. She's driven by other things that you guys haven't discovered yet.
right.
And Shaft is employing her currently because that suits her purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's temporary, and Shaft uses people for the moment, and Shaft has reasons that he needed to accomplish whatever his goal was, and then if another goal presents itself and it seems to make sense, that's what Shaft will do. But I think with any movie or story that you read, you always get those rogue people, those shyster guys, and then they turn into, the brother or whatever, right? Over time.
Yeah.
Even though they're not necessarily, they're in it for themselves, but over time they have that sense that they will do the right thing.
I think with our group, like, that time's going to be a long time.
Yeah, well, we like 17 episodes recorded now, and we haven't got there yet.
Well,
yeah.
so that was one thing I was going to comment on. Like, so these first 6 episodes, those are like our first 2 times that we played, right? Like, I mean, it's got to
only
be
2
pretty
sessions,
evident
yeah.
listening that we're cutting these up into like hour bits,
Our
right?
play sessions are long and lend themselves to making multiple episodes.
Right. So I was actually surprised at just how much like story actually happened in like those first 6 episodes. Like, I was surprised, and I feel like, though, even at the point, like, again, like, those last 3 batch of 3 was recorded like beginning of February, like forever ago.
Yeah.
And I'm like thinking of where you guys are currently of what we have recorded, and like all this stuff we're saying, like, well, it's going to happen in the future. Like, it hasn't happened yet. So like,
I could give
That's
you
what
a
I'm
good
saying.
indication that we can remember. I'm one goddamn point away from leveling. I'll say that.
Oh, yeah.
So
You and me
when
both,
we start
buddy.
our next recording episode, I'm starting with
Somehow
I'm one
51 points
fucking
behind.
point away
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
from next level.
I don't know what the number is,
Gozer
but like
leveled. Woo!
it's like
Yeah, Gozer's the only one.
1,000 and something and 9.
And
I need
I told
one
Bill
more.
we're gonna kill a rat at the beginning of the next episode and level up
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
jointly.
Bill's answer was like funny but also honest. Like, we're together because we have a podcast. I think we did create these characters that aren't super friendly.
They're not a great fit for each
No.
other. No. Circumstances have kind of, and we probably have Leland to thank for that in part, but circumstances have kind of brought them together and kept them together, right? Like, the story has been woven, and
We are all just
there's
kind
always-
of like, okay, yeah, I'll go too. But would our character say that? I don't know.
I think for Falzarin, yes, every next step that we've gone on has led to me getting closer to finding out more about, what's this magical stuff that's happening.
Bryn's definitely a fan of Gozer. She likes Gozer.
Yeah, you
Gozer
guys are
likes
becoming
Bryn.
tight.
Yeah.
I think
But
it's
like,
interesting.
they wouldn't call each other friends.
When you get to when you have a group of characters and somebody's hanging off the side of the cliff, and you have to wonder if the guy's going to reach down and ask for his hand to help him. I mean, that's what makes it exciting,
Yeah,
right?
That's true,
Because
I
if
guess.
it's not in my best benefit, or I think I might get pulled over, I might just watch you drop.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't know if Gozer or Bryn and maybe even Shaft would grab Falzarin and pull him back up.
That's a good point.
Exactly.
So that adds tension.
Oh,
and
maybe if
excitement.
you got a sack of magical items slung over your back, I might.
Well, at the rate that you keep breaking them on me, I don't know how many I'll have to offer.
Right.
Just always carry something valuable on you, Falzarin.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, to my overall point, I'll just finish the point that I was making with our progress and the way we record and kind of the weird, like, almost I mean, it feels really staggered to me just putting the episodes together. I hope it sounds better than I think it does. I don't know. But like as far as story progression, like I know that I've put in quite a bit of stuff, but that's only like crumbs, right? So if any of your characters die, all that shit that I want to pay off like is kind of gone unless I like shoehorn it into your new character.
That's where when you roll your attack rolls, Leland, you have to make sure that they're like all 8s.
No, if I kill you, you're dead.
I'm good dying. Shaft has 2 brothers and a sister, and we can get into that later. But ready to take his place.
We'll save that for later.
So I'm just wondering, do you guys think I should pick up some of these plot points? Like, should I accelerate some things? Is it?
Are you wanting to kill us? Is that what you're getting at?
He's saying, does he take more of a, throw us on
Less
some
of a risk.
railroad tracks and push us along in the direction that he has planned this story? I think that's what you're saying, right?
Here's the way I feel about it. We're all having fun playing a game, and
Yeah.
people are listening in. That's great. If you're enjoying it, keep listening. If you're not, whatever. I think, though, on the flip side, if you feel like it is... Yeah, okay, keep listening.
Like and subscribe.
I think if you feel like it is dragging, then shoehorn stuff in.
Yeah, go ahead. Great.
I won't hold it against you if you want to throw us on some railroad tracks for a short while and be like, hey, by the way, stop, doing investigation checks on a rock at the side of the road. The rock is nothing. It's not magical.
It's a freaking rock. I do feel like, Leland, without spoiling anything, in like our most recent play sessions, you've put us in some situations that you would have no idea where we end up choosing to be. Like, we all get into a certain situation on 4 wheels, okay?
Yeah, you guys like...
And you did not see that coming.
Literally just when I think I've predicted what you will do,
we go the other way.
Do the opposite.
Exactly.
So but like, okay, and
So
then you
what's
can
the
apply
point?
like, well, I know they'll do this, but they'll actually do this, so I'm going to think they do this, but then they'll do this, and it doesn't matter.
Seriously.
Poor Leland.
That's what I mean is, like, you think you know, but then we have, time after time made choices that go the other way.
And Gozer has never thrown a wrench into your plans at all.
Yeah. That's the funny thing is we have no clue what Leland's got planned for the episode, and he's just sitting back being like, oh my goodness, are you, like... You were supposed to go through that door. Like, why are you... What are you doing?
I know after a few sessions, he's like, I never thought you would get to this point that I had planned. Or, like, he'd be like, you already got through what I had planned, and I was winging it from here on out. Like, it's just...
Or the opposite, like, I can't believe that took so long to get through.
Yeah, exactly. So long to catch the Arcanist.
I think the most fun is when we go off the rails and you have to figure out on the fly how to get us back on track.
Oh,
because that's where the most fun happens, right?
That's
because
you're going too.
Exactly. I think you said in some of the other episodes you didn't expect to go back to Isabella's place. You didn't expect those kind of things, and some of the best stuff comes out of those moments.
According to you,
totally wasn't prepared to have a list
of
of 3 names of people and addresses that Shaft requested from Isabella.
Maybe John and Leland have been practicing flirting. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe.
John doesn't have the practice.
That's right. That's right, baby.
Yeah, John is way out of practice.
Thank you, Elena, for that Isabella impression. That was spot on.
That's my Isabella impression. I don't know. Listener, that was me, not Leland.
Yeah.
I hope that also for a listener that we're again with the way we're recording and how that gets cut up. Like oftentimes we're gonna have like a whole episode of combat, which we just had. Like I think session 5 was like all combat. I hope we're doing a good job of like keeping that combat like interesting. So Falzer, I'm sorry if I feel like a combat is lagging. I'm gonna have to blow something up on you.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I think that's a good thing for me to remember going forward, because I think even now in our most recent session, so let's say for the next 10 episodes, I'm just like, okay, I take another shot at him. Like it's not creative. Shaft's like always going through legs and weaving in and out of people and stuff. But
well, when you're shooting a bow, there's not really much you can do.
I know, but I could word it more interestingly.
You the problem is you want to say things like, I want to shoot him in the throat, right?
I know,
But-
that's what I
but
fell into, yeah.
That's not necessarily what's going to happen. You can
Yeah.
say, I'm going to aim at his throat, and then when the die roll, if he hits a
Yeah.
20, then Leland's going to maybe
I'm just
add
going
a
to start
lot.
aiming at body parts. And when I say shaft, I might not mean you.
Right. I'm
I
not
love
going to...
watching John's wheels spin trying to think. Oh, okay. man,
It's
I
like
gotta
such
wait,
an
hold on a
awkward
second.
pause. Yeah.
Wait.
He rolled his eyes. He's looking up at the ceiling like, what am I going to say?
John's malfunctioning. Yeah, no, I mean, I think I can probably do less of when I get a critical hit and I have to roll 4d6. I probably don't need to say, okay, the first one's 4. Yeah. Okay, 5. Okay, 1. I can probably
Somebody
just
add it up for me,
give you a
please.
total.
I can't add.
That might speed things along.
I don't think that's unique to us. I think that happens in about every team
Yeah.
session.
Well, it's like when you get put on the spot, all of a sudden you can't add.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I don't need to be put on the spot for that. Yeah, I think I don't know, obviously I'm biased, but I think we've done a pretty good job of making the combat interesting. I try and get creative with my spells. I'm thinking of
Ray
a
of
couple
Frost, Magic Missile, Ray of Frost,
couple
Magic Missile,
occasion-
Ray of
oh, okay.
Frost, Magic Missile.
the mage
No, I'm
hand.
just-
That was
Okay,
creative.
okay.
Smacking the flesh golem in the back of the head. That was quite a few episodes ago.
That might
but
be the last time you used it.
I wanted to use Mage Hand in Sardo's magic shop to knock something off of a shelf behind him and have him turn around so I could pocket something, but
Oh, that's right.
Leland, the editing, the
happen.
sound effects, those help a lot. I'm like feeling
Yeah.
pretty tense.
And
Absolutely.
you did a great job, Leland.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Good. Hey, that's all tabletop audio. That's
Leland
all,
told me today I've got my own soundtrack called Rogie.
Yeah, you pretty much. Yeah, that's like your theme music, pretty much.
When Bryn's in action,
sneaking
she's got her
around.
own music. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to go
Yeah.
off by yourself more then.
Yeah, you were so scared about being by
I was
yourself.
nervous. Part of it was like I knew that like in role I couldn't get you guys' advice. Like I needed to make decisions and know what to do, and I
when you were in
again,
the cave.
yeah,
looking
and it
then
was
you
like
saw
my
the body
second
parts.
time playing.
Yeah.
So like, what do I do? Like, do I risk looking? Do I turn
Hope for the
around? Do
best.
I was actually nervous.
Yeah.
That's almost the problem with D&D is that you can do anything, but then that's so overwhelming that there's
Oh yeah,
you don't know where to focus.
definitely. I felt very like you can do whatever you want and like stranded and like okay, I can't be asking anyone in the party what to do.
And I've been surprised at, how tense and nerve-wracking some of the scenes have been for me in the moment. Like, it's not scary, but like my heart's racing at certain points. I'm
Listening or playing?
like, playing.
Oh okay.
Yeah. Because I'm getting attached to Falzer and I don't want him to die. Like, he's my guy.
Spoiler alert: you're the squishiest.
I know.
I do think the music adds a lot, though, in certain situations when
Definitely.
you're listening back. It does crank up the tension a little bit.
I had my headphones in, and I thought I was here. Like I had to take them out and realize it was all just part of the background music and stuff.
I like when if
Is
Leland
that
puts
a good
any-
thing?
Yeah, like in a good way. In a good way. There's like rustling or birds chirping or like whatever the little teeny sound effects that are in there. Like they're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
impressed
that's
with
like
that.
I struggle with getting those volumes correctly too, right?
That was good.
effects on your voice whenever you're playing an NPC. If you want to put anything on like that, but you've done that a few times. I like that.
Yeah.
Isabella's pitch gets slightly altered. I mean, there was one episode that it was really evident because I think I was like already speaking in a higher pitch as I was doing her voice.
Yeah.
So I was doing like a different voice for her. I think that was session 3 that her pitch was way higher, even though I used the same effect as I had in the past and the same like.
We
pitch
get
I
it.
did.
You don't want us all to think you don't have a manly voice. It's
Hey.
an effect.
Hey, Leland, Shaft noticed.
Well,
and,
I mean,
Andy liked it.
Braun was all me. I didn't affect Braun's voice at all. That was-
Can we all agree that we probably should never go back to Zexa?
Yeah.
I'm fine going back to Zexa.
I don't think we're welcome there.
Yeah, I don't. It's just
She gave me that iron token that I can chat with her from afar. So we could just get close to the city and I could have a chat with
Thinking how much
Isabella.
they hate us there.
I mean, maybe they don't.
I don't know. You guys showed up. Chucky disappeared. So did you. I think someone's gonna. Jaleila's gonna put that together.
Yeah.
Where the hell's my bar boy?
Where the hell's my money?
Yeah.
We spent quite a bit of Dr. Good's money.
Yeah, that's not the last of it. Yeah, she essentially gave you her phone number, Bill.
More or less.
Actually, a cell phone to call her direct.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Basically.
yeah.
To be honest, I forgot about that for quite a while we were playing.
I know you have.
Which is good. That's what Falzarin would do.
I haven't forgotten it.
Oh, I know.
It does work only in a certain distance. You guys
And
Have
I'm
you guys been
wondering-
practicing?
I'm just wondering, like, what sort of breadcrumb is that? Why did she give me that little token that allows me to...
Wieland really
Contact
wants
her.
to flirt with you. Like, that's it.
Weird.
Well, apart from that.
I would love to hear Gozer flirt with somebody. Oh my gosh. It'd be like, hey,
Ugh.
how you doing?
How you doing?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We already painted the Gozer sex scene last after party. I think we've
That's
had
right.
enough of Gozer
okay.
and her half-orc boobs.
Oh, yes.
Dang.
I forgot about that.
Well, I will say astute students of D&D lore could probably figure out what's going on with Isabella Good.
Oh.
Very possibly.
I just
Do
got
we
my
need to
player's
study?
handbook in the from the postman, and apparently I've got some reading to do. Is it in the player's handbook, or do I need
You
to...
should just read that anyways.
Okay. Like the spell section, you mean?
Yeah, you just look for the Isabella Good section. It'll clear it all up.
Okay.
But start at the beginning and work your way through.
Yeah, when I find it, I'll know.
Yeah, you'll know. It's towards the back, but start at the beginning.
All right, I can't wait till we're like caught up on episodes. I don't know. I guess we're never going to
Yeah.
be caught up, right?
We
always,
never
like,
will
Hopefully
be.
not, or else
ahead.
we'll be all pretty anxious.
We never
But
will
we're
be,
like
but
we're like way ahead right now. We're
know.
we're not going to be ahead as we are.
I think
currently,
it'll
right?
only take summer
Yeah.
to get like that,
Yeah.
right? Because summer people just are busy. We are way ahead, but it's fun to listen back and like reflect and
Yeah,
like
remember
it
what we did.
creates
Love it.
more of the story for me. Trying to remember
And
it
I've
all.
got a terrible memory, so I mean, listening back 6 or 7 times is usually about how many times I need to remember the pertinent details of what we've been doing.
Okay, that's pretty good. Do we want to wrap her up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're about an hour now.
Yep.
Perfect.
Thanks for listening, you guys. I'm talking
Thanks,
to them like they're right
listener.
here. Yeah, thanks.
Hi, Brian.
Yeah, we're gonna have
We're
a
doing
shout out
shout-outs?
section. Dang.
Whoa! He didn't pay for that.
Yeah, we don't have a Patreon yet.
Yeah, but he's our loyal listener, so.
That's true. Brian seems like a great guy.
We have quite a few loyal listeners.
Yeah,
My mom.
we harass them accordingly.
Ian. Hi, Ian.
Hi, Leland.
Oh my God.
All right.
Goodbye.
All right,
Bye.
see ya.
Bye, listener.
Bye.
Goodbye. You can cut all that out, but I really felt like I needed to say goodbye.
And that's our show. Our intro and outro music was created by Josh Jarvis. For your own musical inquiries, contact jamesmercymusic@gmail.com. All other music and ambient noise is courtesy of tabletopaudio.com. The Incorrigible Party is sponsored by Critical Hit Design. Visit criticalhitdesign.com for all of your graphic design needs. You can find more info on the characters and world at incorrigibleparty.com. Enjoying the show? Have any questions or rules corrections? Email us, contact@incorrigibleparty.com, or reach out on social media. The Incorrigible Party on Facebook and Instagram, @IncorrigiblePar on Twitter, using the hashtag AfterPartyIP for a shout out during our behind the screen after party episodes that drop every 4th release. Happy adventuring!
Okay, count it down.
You're done. tilting it towards you.
Somebody needs to count.
I was.
3, 2, 1. That was really slow.
Oh boy.
No one clapped when it was supposed to be.
The problem with Leland counting down silently is that Google Hangouts doesn't switch to his screen.
Well, I thought it was on mine when you guys were talking.
Also, I said 3, 2, 1, and then it was clap, and usually you do 3, 2, clap.
We just
Right?
recorded an hour and a half ago where I went 3, 2, 1, clap. But in the past, you're right. We have clapped on one.
We've changed it.
It does
Things have happened.
flip flop.
What am I into?
Flip flops.
No kink
I'm
shaming.
49 years old. I don't need this shit. Clap!